Hey guys, I know this message is a little late because I have a newborn and life happens and I just couldn't get my shit together long enough to get this out on time. I had something ready on Wednesday and it just didn't feel right, and my goal is to just show up as authentic as possible because I think when we do that, that is how we truly change the world. In this episode, I really dive into being your own guru, just like the title says, how we need to start advocating for ourselves and how we really need to start taking care of ourselves, because the idea that someone is coming to save us, that just needs to go away because they're not. So if you want to stick around, thanks so much for being here. I'll talk to you all soon. Bye. I'm back with season 2. It's Basement Philosophies, and I'm your host, Brittany. Here, we won't follow the script of the mainstream media. We'll talk about real life, real problems, and now that I'm a new mom, we're going to talk about that too. Welcome back, and I'm so happy that you're here. Let's get to it. Hey guys! So this episode is kind of late. It's just been a crazy week. I don't know. It's so weird. What day is it? It's Friday. Normally people have like a bank full of episodes, for weeks like this, I assume. But I just don't have that. I'm just not there yet. So I was just having a hard time getting my message out. I've just been really in my head. And then yesterday I tried again and my dog was being loud, and then the baby wouldn't stay asleep and people were coming and going, and I was just like, oh my God, this is not going to work again. So I have some free time now. The baby is asleep. I'm holding her. She's kind of struggling today, so she's in her carrier and we are bouncing on a ball so she will stay asleep. The things you do, right? And so I had some time. It was a weird night, and I'm still in a weird mood, let's be honest, but it'll be okay. We'll see, we'll see what happens. Anyway, I hope you're all doing well. I do apologize for the delay, and usually when I put these out on a Friday, nobody hears them because they're just on their weekend breaks, but if you have found yourself here, I'm so happy that you're here. And so let's get into it. So I was kind of going through the internet, and I kind of see, we can look at the world today and you can see it as, it just looks like it's going up in flames, like the end of the world. Everything's so divided, everybody's fighting. Everything's so corrupt. No matter where you look, our food is poisoning us, our air is poisoning us, our government is, I swear, trying to kill us. I don't know. I really don't know what's going on there, but it's such a strange time. And there are days when I feel like, the pendulum has to swing the other way. So if evil has gone on for so long, maybe this is just, light being shed on all of that corruptness and evilness, and it's time for real change. And I like that to be my perspective, because otherwise I would feel pretty hopeless. And I don't like feeling hopeless. So I'm a firm believer that in order to change the world, we do have to begin by changing ourselves. And I know that's lame and cliche to say, but I really believe that. And so ever since getting pregnant and having a baby, I've really, really started to take a closer look at my physical health. And it's also something that I started to look at many years ago when I was struggling with a very severe depression. And that wasn't what I originally did. Like, first I was seeing a therapist, and then I got on medication, And while all of those things really helped, I did feel like something was missing. And it wasn't until I started to move my body and take care of my body that I really, really started to feel the difference. So while I do think maybe there's a place for medication, which now with all those new studies out, I don't know, I need to look more into it. But I do know that when I was in a very dark place, medicines really helped me. They really did. But now, like looking back, I'm wondering, was it the medication or was it the fact that, I stopped eating crap foods and I stopped drinking heavily and I was exercising? It's when I started my yoga practice, or maybe it was a combination of everything. I really can't be too sure. But it definitely, when I started to move my body and just kind of move that energy, because I know there was so much stuck energy in my body. And whether you believe that or not, which I don't think I would have had I not had the experiences that I did through meditation and through yoga. So I do think that anything we hold, any emotion that we hold, it is our job to get that cleared out of the body, because if not, it can really manifest in some physical ways, whether it's getting sick or some other thing, or our moods, or, like my depression, because I'm sure my depression stemmed from the way I was caring for myself. While it might have been triggered by this very big event that happened in my life, I wasn't doing myself any favors by drinking my sorrows away, obviously, right? So I am a strong advocate of taking our physical health into our own hands and then, healing ourselves that way. Now, I've spent 30 plus years destroying my body. So I know that it's taking time to really, heal certain parts of me. So it's not going to be some quick fix. I know I can't do a 3-day detox and be better. And I'm not sure that would be safe anyways. And just I got a clear to start working out and everything because it was 6 weeks after the pregnancy. But really, if you're done bleeding, you can start moving around. But something in me just said, you know what, I'm just not ready. I need to go slower. So I've just been resting, and I'll do little mild workouts, but nothing too serious. Honestly, I'm more focused on nourishing my body and, clearing out toxic things in my life. What did I recently threw away my face wash. It was supposed to be clean face wash, and I looked at the ingredients. It's something that I started to do, and it's just, it's horrifying. But I threw it away because it's terrible. It was terrible for my skin. It was terrible for my body. And it's just making those small changes. Just like I changed my coffee. Now I'm kind of going through my products. Now I'm not throwing everything away because that's just a waste of money. But anything that's almost done or anything that's really bad, I'm just slowly starting to get rid of those things and trying to find healthier alternatives. So my body wash and my face wash, I just recently, I don't have a face wash yet, but I'll just use what I'm using. I found this small company with bar soap, and I will let you know how I like it. I used it for the first time last night, but I had to take a really fast shower, so I can't really give you my, opinion on it yet because I just haven't really used it. But, it's all natural, small business, and that's how I want to start buying those kinds of things now. So I will let you know how that goes. But, it's just making these small changes, and I have to do small because otherwise I won't stick with it and things like that. And so I say just make one tiny small change. Instead of drinking 5 sodas, drink 4, really small changes. And then you'll start to see that you'll start changing, your mindset, your body, you'll just start to feel different. And I think it's important that we all do that. But how we do it, and it depends on who we are, right? I mean, I have gone through therapy, I've gotten hypnotized, I've done past life regressions just to try to heal those wounds. Now, that's not for everyone, but that's the stuff that I'm into, and I like that kind of stuff. Like, I love alternative medicine. It's exciting. It's fun. And I like learning new things. So, what works for me definitely won't work for everyone. And that's why, we should be accountable for our own health. That's why I think medical mandates of any kind are bullshit, because not everybody's the same. Not even close. We're so unique. And so that's why I think it's important that we do what's right for us. And it really doesn't matter how or why we do it, just as long as, we're not hurting anyone. And so that's just like what I'm doing right now. But this kind of ties into like all the things that I'm into. So when I say that I, started my spiritual journey in my 20s, I believe everyone's on a spiritual journey, whether you call it that or not. I think our lives, are a spiritual journey. But what I'm referring to is back in my 20s, there was a very specific time where I started to question pretty much everything. And, my whole world kind of fell apart, and it left me like kind of with this blank canvas. And from that blank canvas, from that space, I just kind of started, I've kind of started questioning everything, my beliefs, where my beliefs came from, and, how I felt about myself and where that might have stemmed from, like all of that stuff. My religion, I was brought up Catholic, so I started questioning my faith. That was a really big one. And, this was like a very conscious decision that I made, like to question all of these things. And it was really scary for me. And it was like I took a deep dive into myself to find out what was really going on there. Because I've talked about it before, how I had, suppressed so much for so long that I really didn't know what I was feeling. I didn't know what I wanted. I hadn't been taking care of myself for a really long time. I hadn't, I didn't care about what I wanted. What I cared about was making people happy. I was a people pleaser really, really bad. And so I put myself on the back burner for a really, really long time. So when it got to the point where I had to take care of myself, imagine my surprise when I had no idea what I wanted in life. I had no idea. And still I struggle with that. And that's so sad. I remember crying when my therapist at the time was like, okay, well, what about you? Like, what do you want? And I had she asked me, what do you like to do for fun? And I had no idea. I had no idea what I like to do for fun. And that is just like a horrible, horrible feeling to not know how, to not know what you like to do for fun. I was so sad. Since then, I found some things, but it was just such an eye-opening experience. And it just truly showed me like how much I did not connect with myself. And it was so sad. Like I had just forgotten about me altogether. And I knew it was something that I had to work on, and it's been something that I've worked on this whole time. And it was like a learning experience, and people would come and go out of my life, and I would continuously keep losing myself. And it's just, so sorry, my dog, she's going to keep snoring, and I'm going to have to keep pushing her. But, yeah, so that's something that I've been working on. Now, I've done a lot of different things, some conventional, some not so conventional, but I feel like I've read all the books, and I've talked to lots of people, and I've been scammed too by astrologists and psychics and crap like that, because I got really, really, really deep into it, but not deep as in, it was just like I was kind of obsessed with, finding the answers, only I was doing the exact opposite of what I needed to do. I was like while books and people and learning from others, yeah, that can help you along the way. But what I began doing is looking for people to give me the answers. But that's impossible. Nobody can, even if they say they can. Even a therapist can help you, with things that you need help with, but they're there to guide you and for you to do the work. They don't do the work for you. And I think that I was looking for some magical thing to happen where I was just like magically healed. Like I just magically felt better. And I'm not sure. And now looking back and talking to you about it, I'm not even sure what my ultimate goal was. I don't know if I wanted to bypass the pain or let go of the pain. I really don't know. Or just not being, I don't know. I know now that I want to be able to face an experience, whether, it's painful or even joyous. And if it's painful, I want to know that I'm not going to fall apart. Like I want to feel the pain and then move on. I don't want to feel the pain, be heartbroken and destroyed, hold all that anger and resentment forever and just move forward and feeling like heavy in that, And I think I could hold a grudge. Ask anybody. I was like the queen of holding grudges until I decided I don't want to hold grudges anymore. Like I just want to move on from that. I just want to be like stronger and better. And I want to, tear up that soul contract with that person because it's over. Send them, send them forgiveness and just move on. And not forgiveness as in it's okay, like they hurt me that bad, but just kind of like, just a way to release the situation just for my benefit, for my sake, and not for the other person. Because forgiveness, it was such confusing concept for me, because I didn't want to forgive, because for me it felt like I was saying, okay, it's okay that they treated me that way, but that's not really what forgiveness is. I forgave people because it was time and I didn't want to hold on to that anger or resentment. It doesn't mean what these people have done to me wasn't wrong, because it was. It just means that I don't want to carry it anymore. Like it's over, and it's easier said than done, and it takes a long time, and I can't say that, even I've let go of everything. Of course not. But what I can say is that sometimes certain things hurt me a little less every day. And I think that's the goal, just to keep working on it. But to what I was saying before, I search a lot. I'm so sorry. I searched a lot in the spiritual community for answers. And at the beginning, it was curiosity. It was just kind of learning everything. But then I got to a point where, yes, I wanted somebody to give me the answers, to tell me how to get better, I guess. And I started to look outside of myself. I loved my yoga practice so much because it made me turn inward. It made me kind of explore all of that. And if anything arose, it came out through my practice. It made sense to me. It made it organized. And it was just easier. It made it easy for me to understand that way. Because if you sit, I do love to meditate, but that comes with a learning curve, for me at least. Like, I don't know, meditations can be weird for some. My advice, if you want to get into it, is start with guided meditations. They make the most sense, and it's still as beneficial. So, but anyway, my yoga practice made it make sense. It kind of was like a guidebook for me. I could do the poses, the same ones every day, and then if anything came up, if an emotion came up, then I would feel it, but I would keep moving and keep going. I did Ashtanga yoga, so it's strange like that. I can remember when I finally got to back bends and I did my first one, and I just cried my eyes out for like literally 10 minutes in a classroom full of people. It was just the craziest experience ever. So yoga's kind of cool and crazy like that, but it's hard, and it does change your life. And that's another story for a different day. But as much as I loved my yoga practice, I did not like, the label, and I didn't want to label myself a yogi, because I thought that if I was a yogi, it meant that I had to be like a vegan and, and all of these things. And I had to like worship this guru. And like I said, I was already questioning my faith. So I wasn't into worshiping a guru. In fact, I still don't like that practice. And then like, you know, a lot of people used to worship this, you know, the man, you know, they had like this, the Ashtanga yoga, they would have his picture up and they would just like love this man so much, but it turned out he was like sexually touching his students and was like really greedy and loved money and things. Like he was still human. And people make, you know, gurus and influence, like spiritual influencers, if you will, they make them not human. And even these self-proclaimed spiritual influence, like especially ones you find on Instagram, like it's just, I think it's like a very dangerous place that's all going, because they can really send some damaging messages. I usually shut down pretty quickly when someone tells me that they're talking to spirit, like they channeled a message from spirit and we all need to hear it. Like, I don't like stuff like that. I just feel like a message will come directly to me in my own way or in my dreams or whatever if I needed to hear it, but I don't need someone saying they had a message from spirit for humanity or something. I don't know, it's just weird. And normally it didn't bother me before, but I've gotten to a place where I'm kind of looking at everything differently. Like, I don't know if it was, I think maybe during my pregnancy or maybe while, like after she was born, but it's just like, I don't want to use this phrase because people tend to shut down, but whether or not you believe in the Matrix, you know, whether or not believe the world is a stage, I feel that, you know, it's important to understand that you have to start advocating for yourself and for your health. And we're so quick to give our power away. And I'm not like discluding myself. I have been known to give my power away as well. That's, you know, why I was with a narcissist for so long, because I was giving all of my power away. I had none. And, you know, that's what we do when we give in to these demands of society. And I, for one, am calling my power back. Now, it's not that easy, and you know, it makes things so rocky when you start to change something like that. And, you know, like, just like when you start, you know, establishing boundaries, you notice how people start to get so mad at you. The same thing comes with, you know, really taking care of yourself and really calling your power back. You know, I wanted a natural birth I really wanted it at home, but I did it at a birth center because it was like my kind of sort of compromise. But, you know, it wreaked havoc on my relationship, but I wasn't willing to give up what I wanted for the sake of my relationship. You know, I just knew what was best for me, and I know what's best for me now. I know what's best for her, and because I'm her mother, but it's just kind of like I've gotten to this place where people, I can't be pushed into doing something that someone wants me to do. And I'm not, and I'm also, I'm also not so much for controlling a situation to try to keep bad things from happening. So I've spent a lot of time and a lot of energy trying to control situations so that I don't get hurt. I was so scared of getting hurt. And nobody likes to get hurt, you know, but I was spending a lot of energy, you know, trying to control, especially like my fiance. Like, I didn't want him to do something because, you know, something bad might happen, or, you know, something like that. Like, or if he wanted to take his motorcycle out, I would just get furious and give him a hard time about it. But you know what? He's a grown-ass man, and to me, while I think getting on a motorcycle is pretty irresponsible, especially when you have a family at home, but if that's what he wants to do, I can't stop him. And I have to stop like giving him a hard time. Like, he needs to make his decisions, and if something bad happens, or something is destroyed in the process, like, that's his consequences. And I know that sounds harsh and bad, but it's just like where I'm getting. And it's not just with him, it's like everything. And then, like, I turned off the TV a long time ago, because the news is bullshit. But when I can when my fiance turns the news on and I can see that they're still pushing fear, for this virus, and now there's like a new one and they're saying we should be so afraid of it, but people aren't. And like one woman specifically said, yeah, why people should be more scared than they are. And it's just like, really? You want people to be scared. Like, that's what you want. Because when you're scared, when you have a lot of fear, you can be easily controlled, easily manipulated. And, in the spiritual world, I think, when I started looking into all of this and when I started to really work on myself, I didn't see a lot of corrupt crap happening. Like, I just didn't, I just read some old books and I kind of sat with myself a lot. I cried like so much. I was in lots of pain, but I like sat with it. I just started eating better and things like that, just kind of focusing on what was going on in my mind. And I didn't really go out there a lot and try to seek answers. I mean, I did, like I said, for a small period of time. And I realized what I was doing was just looking for the next thing to fix all the time. And if you've done inner child work, which I said before, I thought was total bullshit. But once you've done a little inner child work, it's very, very easy to stop looking at yourself as a project that you need to fix. It kind of, like, a byproduct of inner child work is to stop doing that. You give yourself a little grace. You start to love yourself a little more because there's a small child in you that's hurting, and it's your job to nurture that part of yourself. And so I've done like a lot of that work, but for a long time I was just looking for the next thing to fix. And when I got really caught up on that wheel, that's when I started to look outside and be like, okay, who can give me the answers? Who has the special knowledge? I paid money to talk to people. I bought classes that were crap, and then and now you see that even more, like so much more. And I think it's important to really keep an eye out for that stuff. But if you have noticed, a lot of people are calling out these people for their shitty messages, and a lot of them consider themselves like channelers and all of this shit. And I'm just like, that's a karma that I wouldn't want. So I said prayers to them, because that's a big shoe to fill, to call yourself like a spiritual influencer and a channel and all of this. I'm not there yet. So if you believe in channeling and things, that's good for you, but I'm just not there yet. So I believe in prayer, and that's it. I believe in praying and being with myself and getting the answers from my heart, and just striving to be the best person that I can be each and every day. And that's what I'm bringing to the world. And do I always do it? Do I fail? Yes, I fail sometimes. But I wake up the next morning, I give myself some grace, and I start again. So the point of all of this is to watch out for these people, right? And you can see they're getting called out now, like all the little culty people out there. And I'm happy to see it, because I remember one time, and I don't mean to talk, and I'm not going to say any names, but I am going to say that because the spiritual community is so full of people that are so vulnerable, it's so easy to, really get under people's skin and to really manipulate them. So when this guy came out and he was talking about narcissists and how their IQs are really high, and how if that message triggered me, then it meant that I had some unhealed wounds. Like, I got real pissed off, because what does this guy know? And to tell me and speak for me, I don't like that. I don't like for someone to ever tell me how I feel. That's like emotional manipulation. Like, I know a few people that still try to do that in my life, and I'll be like, you really hurt my feelings. And they'll be like, no, I didn't. And I'm like, you don't get to decide if you hurt my feelings, right? And that's where it comes into play, and why it's so important that we really get to know who we are, that we're really taking care of ourselves, so that if we're feeling something, someone can't come in and try to mess all that up, We live in a society, that tells us every day that we can't trust ourselves. I mean, we have people all over us trying to convince us that they know what's best for us, especially our government. They think that they know what's best for us health-wise, right? Or whatever else. Like, they think they have all the answers and we need to come to them, that they need to save me. But I'm here to tell you that no one's coming to save you. Jesus himself maybe, but nobody else. There's no politician or spiritual influencer or whatever that's going to come save you. What you have to do is you have to save yourself, because at the end of the day, nobody's coming to save you. They're not. We're all in it for ourselves, honestly. And that's a shitty thing to say. But you look at anything, I use my sister as an example. Her husband died, and she was a mess, like grieving, like so heartbroken, of course, right? And no matter, I was there to take care of her, but if she didn't want to live, she wouldn't have, And I say that like she's here now, yes, and thriving, and she's happy. Thank you. I love her. Thank you for not doing anything stupid, But like, on the other hand, my uncle died, and 3 months later, my aunt died, because she just didn't want to be without him, I think. And she just, she's not here with us anymore. And it's all up to us. So it doesn't matter who talked to my aunt, who was there for her. If she decided she didn't want to be here, she wasn't going to be here, and she was going to find a way out, right? So, it's all up to us. So when somebody tries to tell me like what's best for me, I don't lose my mind, but I do kind of shut down, because I'm like, you have no idea who I am, the work that I've done, and what I, do every day to do. I know what's best for me. Do I make mistakes? Yes. But I take accountability for those, and I can't blame anybody else, because there's so much blame going on, right? And it's annoying, because if you can blame someone, that means that you're admitting to giving your power away. And it's all about getting our power back. And that's the one thing that will change the world. And now, how to get your power back, that is for you to decide, what works best for you. For me, I'm learning how to take care of my physical health. I'm nourishing my body the best of my ability. And I wake up every day knowing that I'm going to be a better person for my daughter. Like, these are the things that, empower me, right? And if somebody tries to veer me off course, I can see it. And I can say, hey, you can do whatever it is that you're going to do. You can make the choices that you're going to make, but you're not going to bring me down with you. I don't find, I do, like, when I make a choice, I can do the research, I'll go find the books, and, I'll gain knowledge. Yes, that's okay. You can find information outside of you. It's how we learn from each other. It's how we connect. It's how we grow. But to go and find a guru or whatever, or a spiritual influencer, and just, hang on their every word and believe everything they say, I think that's where you kind of get into a dangerous territory. I can remember when the Ashtanga yoga man, the older man, like some truths came out about him, and people went crazy. They were just like attacking these victims and saying that it wasn't true. And you have to ask yourself, what is it that makes people react this way? There was a time where I thought Q was real, and I thought Trump really was the good guy, and all of that. But once I realized it was all a game, then I kind of, woke up and just started, watching. But I can recall like saying, I don't think Trump's gonna save you like you want him to. People would get so mad at me, and I'm wondering, like, you have to wonder, like, why are these people defending a person they don't even know, And I think it's because people are so desperate for change, but not knowing that the real change has to happen with them. You can't wake up every day being the same exact person and expect the world to be a different place, And I do believe, like, it's kind of like the butterfly effect. If I can make one small change and it affects the world, whatever it is, it's kind of like that. Like, I could choose to be angry every day, but I'm choosing to be better. I could choose to eat processed food, but I'm choosing to eat healthy local foods, and different things happen when you make good, better choices, right? And I remember I would always look outside of me, like, looking to be saved. Like, who's going to save the world? Well, no one person, unless it's God or Jesus himself, is going to save the world. Because honestly, I mean, look, Jesus was a man too, right? He was a human man for a really long time. And what did he didn't listen to anybody. In fact, he got pretty mad a lot of the time. People say that, I don't know, it seems like when I was growing up, he was like this meek, quiet person, but I don't think he was. But he, like, look at the change that he made, and he's a human man. And it's just because of the good choices that he made, right? But that doesn't go to say that there's this one good person who has a lot of money and he's going to change the world, right? No politician, no rich person in this world has any interest in saving the world. I don't know what their interest is, but they don't care about you. Like, they don't. Who has to care about you is you. Just like, no guru, whether you resonate with their message or not, it's fine. Resonate with their message. But don't go to them and think that they're going to heal you or save you. Because while something can save you, a message or something, a person cannot save you. You have to save yourself. And it's just so more important than ever for people to start advocating for themselves, to start taking their lives and their decisions into their own hands. For me, a recovering control freak trying to keep people from making bad decisions, it's been hard for me, right? But I wouldn't be practicing what I'm preaching if I was still trying to control a situation, right? So if my fiance comes to me about something and I don't necessarily love it, I don't say anything really now. I'm just like, okay, that's what you want, because it's not my life. While it might hurt me, while that might be one of the consequences, at least I know, I wasn't making these choices for someone else because I'm busy making my own. And as long as I'm not hurting anyone, I think that's the most important thing. But, it takes practice. Just like intuition, I have already told you, like, I struggle so much with intuition. But the more that I clean out, the toxins, and the more I pray and the more I meditate and the more I really get to know myself, it kind of works that intuition muscle. So if I am, and a lot of people ask, well, how do you work on intuition? And I'm not even too sure because I still struggle with it. I've followed my gut many times. So I thought only to have made the wrong decision. But at least I tried, But I start very, very small when it comes to working with this. And it was kind of like, I wanted to change my diet. So whatever my body craved, I would try to get that, whether it was an orange or maybe peanut butter. I just love peanut butter, I don't know why. Or apples or avocado or whatever, I needed. And it's really been a lot of fruit lately, even meat sometimes. And just very natural ingredients. And just like, I'm tossing out toxic products and trying to get healthy alternatives because I don't want to be poisoned more than I already am, right? And the more I start to clean out, small changes, the more and more I grow, and then I can change something else. And then ultimately everything's gonna, it starts to kind of snowball in a way. But, like I said, I think the trick is to start small. And so like today, for example, I was craving like a peanut butter nutty taste. So I made the green smoothie that's like peanut butter, spinach, and all of that. And it subsided my craving and I felt great, instead of, going against, whatever I was feeling. Now, if I'm craving like something processed, I need to ask myself, am I just addicted to this? Like, let's figure it out. It's all about trial and error. And if we do make an error, then we wake up and we try again. It doesn't mean we're a failure because we're trying, right? And we have to pat ourselves on the back for that because we are conditioned to believe that we can't trust ourselves. We're told constantly that we shouldn't trust ourselves. And then, when you make a decision, when it's best for you, but you get persuaded by others because they're uncomfortable with your decision, that's you giving your power away. Nobody said it was going to be easy, but, I think it's worth the hassle sometimes because you have to break out of your comfort zone in order to experience a life that you never thought you could. Now, am I there yet? No, but I am happy with the decisions I'm making because I find that whether someone is hurting me or not, whether someone has hurt me or made a decision to do something hurtful, it becomes, while it does hurt me, I'm not falling apart. Like, it's just like, wow, that really sucks, but let me keep going and doing my thing, because I'm not going to harbor on that because if you do, it can destroy you. And I have let it destroy me lots and lots of times. And I think that just getting strong and becoming the person that I am, like the authentic raw me and not giving a damn what other people think, like that's the most important thing because you will not, I don't think I don't know the number of people making fun of me because I just love my podcast so much. Like, who am I to start one, right? How lame is it, right? And how they're sitting at their jobs making a bunch of money making fun of me. Like, I'm very aware of that. But for a little bit I cared, and I just don't care anymore because this brings me joy. Sitting here talking and sharing my message with everyone, it brings me joy because it's what I want. And it's how I want to connect with people. And when I'm authentically me, then people that are supposed to be in my life show up. And the people that shouldn't be in my life, they kind of fall away. While some of those friendships and relationships end and it's painful, ultimately it's leading me to a more authentic place. And that's why I think it's so important to just be like your own guru. Don't go out there. If you resonate with the message, yes. But if someone starts to tell you how I feel, or if something doesn't sit well, but you kind of want to ignore it, like you need to really look at that. And if you feel like you have to defend someone, like very famous for whatever reason, you have to say, why? Why am I doing this? why am I advocating so hard for this person when they haven't really done anything for me? Like, why am I not advocating for myself right now? I just think it's important that we start doing that. But thankfully, I finally got this message out. The baby didn't wake up. I mean, you could kind of hear my dog, but not really. So I'm very happy. I feel much better about this talk than the last one I gave on Monday. It was, if you believe it or not, it was more scrambled than this one is. Like, I was just a mess. So, but I'm so happy that I finally got this message out. I know it's late, but you know, when you have a newborn, nothing's ever the same. But if you want to contact me, as always, you can find me on my website. Just email me directly at basementphilosophies@gmail.com. You can go to my website as well. I'm not so active on there just yet, but still, I'm getting there. But if you send me a message, I will definitely get it. Thank you all so much for being here, and I will talk to you all next week. Bye.